Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Fearless Fridays. This is episode 4 of Fearless Fridays, and I hope that you're enjoying what I have to share so far. Before we get into this week's conversation, I want to tell you that I am also going to be posting these videos on YouTube from now on. Last week, I shared last week's episode on my Facebook page, and someone said to me, well, I don't have Instagram. How do I watch the rest of the videos? So I decided to share the videos on YouTube as well as here on IGTV. So if you want to watch or share, you can do that very easily from YouTube. Just go to YouTube, put in my name, Tryphena Wade, and all the videos will pop up as well as a bunch of other videos. So if you want to check out all the stuff I've been sharing over the years, you can do that on YouTube. So now that we got that out of the way, I want to share this week's conversation. And this is actually a question in response to last week's video. So if you watched last week's video, you will know that I talked about how to use your fear as fuel. And I gave some tips on how to do that. You can go check that out, episode 3. But this question that I got actually on Facebook was from someone who watched last week's video, and they asked me this question. They said, when you named your fear and went through the process of naming and confronting it, do you recall the moment when you conquered it? And I thought that was a really good question. So I did answer that person on Facebook, but I also decided to share the question here and share my answer here with you all. So when it comes to conquering your fear, I think you have to figure out for yourself what conquering your fear looks like. Because for me, for certain fears, I feel like I conquered them and they are no longer fears. I'm confronted with that thing. I'm no longer anxious about it. I'm no longer afraid of it. I'm no longer scared of it. And it's just a thing that I can now do that I used to be afraid of. So I can say, oh, I used to be afraid of that, but I conquered that fear and I'm no longer afraid of it. Now, there are some fears that they may never leave you. Like when you are confronted with that fear or that situation, it might be something that always causes you some sort of anxiety, always causes you some sort of trepidation, always makes you nervous or whatever. But in that instance where that thing is still causing you some sort of trepidation or anxiety, I would say that conquering it is simply going through with it, moving through the fear to get to the other side. So it's not necessarily that conquering is getting rid of it and it goes away forever and you never have to deal with it again. There might be things in your life that come that, things that you may have to deal with over and over again. And every time you deal with it, you have to give yourself that pep talk like I talked about last week, and you have to move through the fear to get to the other side. Conquering may simply be confronting it and moving through to get to the other side. And for me, I know, again, there are some things that, when I am confronted with the situation or the opportunity or the experience, it still causes me a little bit of anxiety. I still feel like I have to pause and think about it. But for me, in those instances, conquering that fear is just saying, nope, you don't win. Again, talking to the fear the way I talked about last week. No, you don't win. I'm going to get through this. This is something that I'm choosing to do, and I'm going to get through it and get to the other side. And that is conquering the fear. Conquering the fear is being able to move through the fear and get to the other side. So I want you to think about some fears that, you have in your life. There might be some fears that you've had that you are no longer kind of ruled by. You were confronted with that thing, with the situation, with the experience or whatever it may be, and it no longer causes you any fear, and you can simply do the thing without feeling any kind of anxiety. But then there might be other things in your life, and you say, every time I'm confronted with this situation, or every time this experience is put in front of me, I still feel fear. I still feel trepidation. I still feel anxiety. Your conquering that might just be confronting it, dealing with it, moving through to the other side and not allowing the fear to hold you back. Because really, that's what conquering is. Conquering is not allowing that thing to hold you back. So when you conquer your fear, you refuse to let it hold you back. Whether it goes away forever and you never have to deal with it again, or if it stays and you still have to deal with it, but you choose to deal with it and move forward and move through it to get to the other side. That is also conquering. So don't see that as a failure. If you are experiencing a fear and it's something that just won't go away, the fear just won't go away, don't see it as a failure that you still feel trepidation. See it as a victory if you're able to push through it and get to the other side and not allow it to hold you back. That's a victory. So you have to see that as a victory. So I wanted to share that question because I thought it was such a really good question. And it caused me to stop and think and wonder, have I actually conquered the fear if I'm still feeling it? And I would say that if you're able to push through that fear and move to the other side and not allow it to hold you back, then yes, you're conquering it. And again, some fears may go away completely, and you're able to deal with them and get past them, and the situation no longer causes you fear. But then there are other fears that, you might still feel some trepidation. But I feel like every time you confront it and move past it and conquer it, when it comes back to you, you now have your own personal example of how you were able to move through it the last time. So now every time it rears its ugly head, every time it comes to confront you again, maybe the fear will be minimized. Maybe you feel the anxiety less and less and less and less and less every time. Conquering your fear, you're conquering it. You're not allowing it to hold you back. You're pushing through to get to the other side. And maybe it's minimized, maybe it goes away completely, maybe it's still there. Whatever the case is, as long as you move through to the other side, in my book, that's winning. You've conquered it. So wanted to answer that question. Again, I hope this helps you. Send me more questions. I really love when I can have a conversation. So you can send me questions on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. You can comment, share, like, whatever. Again, fearless living. This is what I'm all about. So this has been episode 4. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, fear is stupid. In all things, get out in the world and live, love, go, do, be. We don't sit on couches. That's my thing. I'll talk to you guys next week. Have a great Friday. Bye-bye.